Redeemed, rehabilitated, and real entertaining. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast.
All right, good morning and welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast on this Wednesday. I appreciate you guys joining me today for your daily dose of objective truth in a world of lies. I just want to remind you to please help our sponsor, MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell at MyPillow, providing American jobs, American manufacturing, American-made products. You can go to MyPillow.com and take advantage of this sale that he has on the Percale sheets. Normally a queen size set sells for $89.98. You can get them for $39.98. All you have to do is use that promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, or you can give them a call at 1-800-858-0263. That's 1-800-858-0263. And please help out Mike Lindell. You can actually do both. You can help out My Pillow. You can also help out this podcast. When you support My Pillow, you're providing, jobs to Americans. Again, American manufacturing. You're supporting Mike Lindell, who has been, the left has gone after him like crazy while he's been fighting for election integrity right here in the United States of America. And you can also help us out on this podcast. Also, please subscribe to the podcast wherever podcasts are found. SalemPodcastNetwork.com, TheCarlJacksonShow.com. Find me anywhere on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. Guys, please follow me. All of these things help to move us out the charts. Please feel free to rate and review the podcast as well. I want to get into this story. I'm actually filling in on a couple of shows today. So you guys check me out. If you tune into this podcast a little earlier, check me out today. I'll be sitting in for Dennis Prager and later on this evening for Officer Tatum. But I wanted to quickly just talk about this story that dropped where the hat tip to the Daily Wire. Charges are being dropped against Atlanta officers in the Rayshard Brooks shooting. I wanted to comment on this because, and I did at the time, what we saw during or in the aftermath of the George Floyd riots, the BLM riots, the Antifa riots, essentially the Democrat riots of 2020, we saw a bunch of Democrats abandoning police officers, talking about defund the police movement. We had more blacks, some with the criminal element, feeling entitled because the mood had swiftly changed around the country to hate all cops. And as a result, one of the things that happened was this Rayshard Brooks case. And so we'll just go through it real quick. The summary here says 2 Atlanta police officers who shot and killed 27-year-old Rayshard Brooks outside a Wendy's restaurant in June of 2020 will not face charges for using deadly force. Authorities announced this on Tuesday. You guys may remember seeing the video where the gentleman was working with the cops. He was drunk. He had fallen asleep in a Wendy's drive-through. Someone called the police. The police responded, and things were working out fine. They questioned him. It was literally like a 40-minute charade where I thought the police officers were being too kind to him, and eventually things turned around. Here's a quote from Pete Skandalakis. He's the executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, and here's what he said. He said that Officer Garrett Rolfe, who shot Brooks twice in the back, and Officer Devin Bronson of the Atlanta Police Department faced a, quote, dynamic situation, close quote, that was quickly evolving, close quote. Such factors prompted the special prosecutor to drop the charges against the officers. This is another thing that was going on. All of this Monday morning quarterback. I can't stand fake people who sit there. Listen, guys, I've done my dirt in the past. I wasn't some big time criminal, mostly dabbling in stupid crimes that I shouldn't have played a part in. But all the Monday morning quarterbacking is just laughable to me. If you get into a situation that turns violent all of a sudden, you're going to react swiftly. You have a millisecond to react. And all of these people that would watch this video and sit here and say, oh, I would have done this, I would have done, excuse me, I would have done that. They could have shot him in the leg, as if these people are marksmen and even know how to shoot a gun properly. It's insane. But all the Monday morning quarterbacking leads to more violence in the streets. It leads to more dissatisfaction and anger within the Black community when the media is hungry for stories like this Rayshard Brooks story to keep their keep their constituents. Because I believe that the Democratic Party and the Democrat Party and the mainstream media are one and the same. And so they want to keep Blacks mad. They want to beat up on police officers so that the Democrats can keep that voting base. Notice nothing has gotten better in the Black community over the last half century. Yet Blacks overwhelmingly continue to vote for the Democrat Party. Nonetheless, I digress. Let me go back to the story and just get through the summary. On June 12, 2020, Roth and Brosnan responded to a call about a man, again, I mentioned this earlier, who fell asleep at the wheel while driving through the drive-thru of the Wendy's restaurant. This was in South Atlanta. The officers approached Brooks. They spoke to him nearly 40 minutes, as I said, before concluding that the 27-year-old man had basically drank too much alcohol. He was drunk. So Brooks, again, initially complied. He submitted to a field sobriety test. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the officers tried to retain Brooks, he went cray-cray. He went cray-cray. And it wasn't just, I'm going to resist and run. He resisted, and then he grabbed the taser. He wrestled with the police officers, and then he grabbed the taser. He grabbed the taser of one of the police officers. Brosnan was the police. He wrestled his way out of the officer's control, the article says, who both fell to the ground during the incident. Brosnan suffered a concussion. So this was the guy that was training him. So he fell to the ground. This guy, Rayshard Brooks, was handling two police officers. The guy was obviously strong. And then Brooks snatched Brosnan's taser. And once he snatched Brosnan's taser, he points back at him. And then Brosnan pulls his weapon and fires 3 shots. I think 2 of the shots hit Rayshard Brooks and ultimately killing him. And then all the Monday morning quarterbacks want to sit there. Oh, this is because he was Black. They wouldn't do this to a white man. Let me tell you something. When you're in the midst of a crime, when you're scared, you don't give a damn about anybody's skin color. It is all about survival. Whether you're a police officer, even if you're a criminal, it is about survival. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And all these people, well, you could see that the taser was, I remember that argument. All this is coming back to memory. I remember the argument. Oh, well, the taser was yellow. He should have known it was the taser. Listen, fools, this is the way that it works. When you disrespect authority like that, first off, you shouldn't be wrestling against police officers. You shouldn't point anything at freaking police officers if you want to live. If you want to die, go right ahead. But if you want to live, you don't point anything at police officers. That's just common sense. All right, let's grow up. Let's grow the heck up. Now, here's what a police officer has to ascertain, because a police officer is involved with the criminal element every single day, like we are not. And so this is what they have to ascertain. All right, dude points a taser at me. Now, if that taser hits that police officer falls to the ground, maybe gets concussed, maybe gets knocked out. He has to worry about if that criminal is going to come back and kill him or hurt him severely, or if that criminal is going to leave and hurt someone else. Now, if Rayshard Brooks had gotten away, if he had ended up carjacking someone, hurting someone, then they would have said, oh man, look at what the police didn't even protect the citizens of Atlanta. They should have stopped this guy. So they couldn't win for losing. But all you Monday morning quarterbacks, put yourselves in that position. All of a sudden, you're working with this guy. This is how quickly this stuff happens. I can tell you this because I've literally been the victim of a couple of crimes. But this is how quickly stuff happens. You go from everything is cool and copacetic, everything's fine, to BAM! All of a sudden, someone acts, someone reacts, and then you have to react to their reaction. So all of these Monday morning quarterback racism. No, when you're in the midst or in the heat of a violent crime, or what could turn into a violent situation, it's instantaneous. You don't have time to say, let me think about this. I could try to aim, especially when you got a moving target too. I can try to aim and hit the guy in the thigh. We've become so juvenile. If you don't want stories like this, if you don't want scenarios like this, then just comply. I'm not naive. I know there's bad cops out there, but the vast majority of cops, the overwhelming majority of cops, I would say, are out there doing their job. How do I know that? Because these stories are so rare, and compared to the amounts of time, the millions of times that police officers interact with criminals annually inside of the United States, including stopping criminals on in traffic stops. So this stuff is rare. This stuff is rare. So what do? You comply. You comply, and you won't die, more than likely. If there's a corrupt cop, and sometimes there are, but it's rare. Again, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you go back and watch this video, these cops did everything they could to calm Rayshard Brooks down. Everything was fine until they decided to cuff him. Everything was fine. Here's a quote from the prosecutor, Pete Skandalakis. He says, based on the facts and circumstances confronting Officer Roth and Officer Brosnan in this case, it is my conclusion the use of deadly force was objectively reasonable and that they did not act with criminal intent. Now, notice he used the word reasonable, and I think this is fair because it may not have been necessary. But then again, when you're in that particular situation, remember, this guy is concussed. Now we know the guy is concussed. So for all of you fools that were arguing, oh man, this thing is, now we know it's concussed. We don't even know if he was seeing well, but he saw enough to see the guy turn his arm, and he's going to suspect he has something in his arm that's intended to hurt him, the police officer, while he's pursuing him. At that point, he's going to react. Guys, that's not racism. This is justice. I hate to say, I know I'm going to offend some people. I don't care. This is justice. It amazes me that when situations like this happen, first thing you see are a big perm, Al Sharpton out there, Jesse Jackson and Benjamin Crump. Justice, justice, justice. Well, sometimes justice means you don't get your way. Sometimes justice means it falls on the other side. And this is exactly what's happening. This is justice. There's no way these cops should be locked up. As a matter of fact, if they were black cops, someone pointed an object at them, there wouldn't even be an issue. We wouldn't even be talking about this. There wouldn't be stories written. That's sad, but I believe that to be true. Skandalakis goes on to say that he called it a peaceful encounter that all of a sudden becomes a violent encounter. That's exactly what happens. Now, here are the consequences that the officers face. Authorities terminated Roth the following day, and they later would announce warrants against the officer, including felony murder, aggravated assault, and violation of charges. However, less than a year later, authorities overturned the decision. This was in May of 2021, after a broad review determined the city did not follow the proper procedures in disciplining the officer who had been in the force for 6 years. Now, why didn't the city follow the necessary procedures? Because instead of just doing their job, enforcing the rule of law, they acquiesce to the BLM and the Antifa and all the social justice warriors. How do you calm BLM, Antifa, and all the social justice warriors? You do your job. And mayors, you allow these police officers to do their job. That's how you stop the riots. You arrest people. It's really simple. It's really simple. A warrant against Brosnan included charges of aggravated assault and violation of his oath. The Atlanta Police Department said it respects the special prosecutor's decision in the case and has faith in the criminal justice system. They knew they did wrong. In other words, they knew they did wrong. They threw their homeboys under the bus because they were scared of Antifa, BLM, and they were concerned about the times that they were living in. That's what was happening. Not to mention they have a weak mayor. I was in, what is it? Bottoms? I forget her name. They got a pretty weak mayor out there. Here's what the Atlanta Police Department said, and I quote, both Officer Garrett Roth and Officer Devin Brosnan are still employed with APD, the Atlanta Police Department. They are currently on administrative duty. Both officers will undergo Georgia POST recertification and training. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm sure that's obviously training in regards to their police academy or what have you. So that's the end of the quote. So again, this death came amidst the violent riots, the Democrat riots of 2020 involving Antifa, involving BLM. Everyone's racial tentacles were up. Everyone was upset, but this is nothing more than justice. And these idiots in Atlanta burned down a Wendy's restaurant. I don't know who owned that restaurant. Do you know who owned that restaurant? Somebody's livelihood was just burnt down to the ground, and this is justified. It freaks me out. It doesn't freak me out. It pisses me off. Situations like this happen, even when it happens to a black person. The black community's thought oftentimes the criminal element is, all right, let's burn our city down. Let's burn opportunities that people that are going to have first time jobs. Let's burn that down. This hardworking person, male, female, I don't know, that strived hard to build a life and build a career and buy a Wendy's franchise. We're going to just destroy their life. There's no thought. There's just no thought. It's like emotion. And this has to stop. This is a big problem in the black community. And a lot of this is simply because you have a Democrat Party that's been lying to blacks for a very long time. You have a media that's in cahoots because they're more concerned about power than they are about people. Here's another quote from the prosecutor. Black lives do matter. He said, I've spent my entire career representing black victims of crime. I understand that the encounters between police and the African-American community at times are very volatile, but I would ask them to look at the facts of this case. And this isn't one of those cases. He added, this is a case in which the officers were willing to give Mr. Brooks benefit of the doubt. And unfortunately, by his actions, meaning Rayshard Brooks, this is what happened. And he's exactly right. They gave the man the benefit of the doubt for 40 minutes. I guarantee you, the vast majority of you in this listening audience wouldn't be that patient. I wouldn't have been. I'm just being real with you. I would not have been. So this is justice. I hate to see that a young black man is dead, unnecessarily so. But he brought this about. This is due to his own actions. The cops are not to be blamed for this. And guys, let me tell you the damage that you're doing to the black community when you buy into these narratives that all cops are racist, or ACAB, all cops are bastards, all that kind of nonsense. First, you have to realize this. Justice isn't one-sided. We're overwhelmingly what this Black Lives Matter Antifa is doing. These Democrats, the media, they're teaching blacks, sadly, that justice is always one-sided. And they're also teaching blacks, sadly, that, listen, even though there may be thugs, there may be criminal element in your community, you know what? They aren't a hazard. Meanwhile, innocent residents have to be scared of what's going to happen in their communities when there's black criminals, running around. It's insane. I blame Black Lives Matter. I blame race hustlers. I blame all of these fools, the media and the Democrat Party, for Rayshard Brooks' death. Because they shouldn't be telling black people over and over again, cops are out to get you. What do you expect to happen when you tell black people all the time, especially black men, all the time, cops are out to get you, cops are out to get you, cops are out to get you? I would expect that if you buy into that nonsense, of course you're going to run from the cops. And this is going to be the result. So black people, stop doing that. Comply, you won't die. If a cop comes, just, you know what? It's better to go to jail and bail out, especially if you're in a blue city. It's soft on crime like crazy. Like there's no real consequences. So it's better to bail out of jail than to be put in a coffin. Can we all agree on that? That's just common sense. But I'm glad that this happened because you know what? We have to start standing up to this narrative that that cops are out to kill black people. If we do that, we're going to save the lives and the property value of innocent residents that live in these urban communities. Suspects won't get shot if we tell them comply and not die. Maybe they go to jail for a short period of time. Maybe they bail out the very evening. I don't know. And we got to stop talking about defunding the police and painting all cops as bad. It's just insane. It's just insane. But what we see here with Rayshard Brooks is absolute justice. Don't lie. If that guy would have pointed that gun at me, I would have popped a cap in him too. And if you're an honest person, you would say, so would you. If you're a police officer dealing with crime every single day, you understand that your life is threatened every single day. Someone points an object at you while you're chasing them. You are the authority. You are the rule of law, or law enforcement, I should say. What are you going to do? Please stop the Monday morning quarterbacking. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please remember to follow me on social media, The Carl Jackson Show. Please like and share my social media, comments and all that kind of good stuff. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate those of you that do. Also, please subscribe to the podcast, thecarljacksonshow.com. Salem, podcastnetwork.com, and everywhere that you do find podcasts. And then again, rate, review, like, and share. And please support MyPillow. Support Mike Lindell at MyPillow. American jobs, American-made products, and great deals going on right now for a patriot that's been fighting for our right to be free as far as election integrity is concerned. You can use my promo code Carl at the Radio Listener Square. That's Radio Listener Square promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. Now, those Perkel sheets are still on special, and they will be as long as they're available, but get them while they're gone. And anything else that's available on the MyPillow.com website, you use that promo code Carl, and you're going to get the benefits and the discounts that are applicable. So MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, 800-858-0263. Guys, until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.